particularly when QITs are large enough to require subcommittees, but having too few QIT members tends to cause important ideas to be overlooked, and having too many can impede progress. The first course of action for a project management QIT would be to treat its own mission as a project. So one of the QIT's first items of business should be to develop its own enterprise project management quality improvement plan, and to use EVM to manage it. This provides direction, enhances credibility, and reinforces the experience that the team will be passing on to others. Building project inventories and forming groups of similar projects are two other priority action items for the QIT. A QIT for a human services agency, for example, would inventory the agency's projects related to physical health, mental health, public assistance, employment training, certainly IT, and so on. Since 80 to 90% of an organization's projects are similar to one another, then the quality improvement team needs to standardize as many as feasible. Because of all the techniques of enterprise project management, standardizing similar projects, as we shall see, provides the greatest impact on productivity. Here is a sample of a project inventory where similar projects have been sorted into groups. A project inventory provides a bulk summary of projects with information such as project titles, duration, start and finish dates, the project manager's name and initials, project's budget, and its priority. But more important to this discussion is the grouping of similar projects shown in the first column. Developing standards for the management of similar projects opens the way to managing projects in bulk, which is the most cost-effective concept in project management. And so the standardization of similar projects joins the components of the bridge to cost reduction. Other components will be quick to follow. Nothing calls out quite as loudly for standardization as the phases and deliverables of similar projects. This is also known as establishing project gateways. Consider this start, finish, and timeline as a model for any project. It can be broken down into hypothetical phases such as analysis, development, testing, implementation, and documentation. A phase list like this might apply to product development, an IT application, an R&D project, or several other classes of projects, which is just the point, because wherever there are similar projects, there will be standard phases and deliverables. In this case, the analysis phase will deliver a set of specifications. Development will deliver a prototype. Testing will deliver a signed verification of quality. Documentation, of course, leads to a document like a user manual or operating instructions, and implementation should conclude with a user's sign-off or something equivalent. With standards like these in place, answers to the status of these similar projects need only focus on a few deliverables that either exist, are in progress, or have yet to start. And so deliverables find their way onto the bridge to cost reduction. Similar projects also have similar schedules which can be standardized into scheduled templates. Any scheduled template is subject to modification for project-specific variations, but still, there's no point to reinventing schedules for projects that an organization does dozens or hundreds of times. And so scheduled templates join the bridge to cost reduction. Additional project information about standard projects is also open to standardization. Information such as work breakdown structures, project team charters, delegation of authority, accountability and responsibility, cost management, risk management, decision-making, and documentation and reports, which are very much the same for similar projects. And here, a general category we'll just call project information can be added to the cost reduction bridge. Now, as the bridge nears completion, it's time to summarize some benefits. Earned value management combined with standardization liberates project teams. It ends reinvention of the same project management structures among similar projects, which means more managing and less busy work, and encourages more thought-oriented work, more creativity, more knowledge work, if you will. Projects can be managed by processes rather than tasks. Project management careers are more fulfilling, and job satisfaction increases while professional horizons broaden. Enterprise management really is about working smarter instead of harder, and if productivity increases while costs decrease, then the people, the project, and the organization all benefit. With EVM and standards in place, business analysis, which project personnel now have more time to accomplish, earns its place on the bridge. With standards in place, the next step to project productivity is to delegate more decision-making to the project managers and team leaders. The enterprise challenge, particularly in larger organizations, is to become more responsive to changing situations. And this brings us to Fusco's Law, which was first put forth by your humble narrators several seasons ago. It states that projects can proceed no faster than the speed of their decisions. Decision-making is to projects what the speed of light is to physics, except that light cannot travel faster than it does. But decisions can. Moving decision-making closer to the project has pros and cons. The pro side includes faster response times, lower overhead, and a higher level of project entrepreneurship. The con side, particularly from a middle and upper management point of view, includes loss of communications and control, which, to be clear, is not so much about loss of power, but a valid concern about the quality of decisions made in absence of the bigger picture, which project teams often cannot see. Fortunately, delegating decision-making is not an all-or-nothing proposition, since levels of decision-making can be qualified in decision charts which break decisions into levels such as who must approve, must review, may review, must be notified about the decision, and so forth. We'll use the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 to represent the different levels. Here is a decision chart kept simple for the sake of example, with matters to be decided, the people who decide them, and the levels of decision-making spelled out for each step along the way. And so the decision-making process becomes the final connection between cost management and cost reduction. This bridge began with cost management based on earned value management. The power of EVM to forecast time and cost to complete and predict whether projects are falling behind or doing well provided for fact-based cost analysis. Similar projects leverage the idea that projects with common traits can be managed in bulk by standardizing deliverables, building planning templates, and standardizing information management, which then frees project personnel to devote more attention to business analysis. And along with decision charts, allow decision-making to move closer to the projects, making them more responsive and adaptable to changing conditions, and ultimately working in conjunction with all the elements of the bridge to reduce project development costs. Now, here's a thought experiment to help us understand what enterprise project management offers. Think about groups of similar projects in your organization, wherever they may be found. How many project groupings might there be? 5, 10, several dozen, several hundred throughout various divisions or departments? This is the number of project groups of similar projects, not the number of projects in total. Next, think about the number of projects those groups would represent during a year. A few dozen, a few hundred, a few thousand projects? Now make a rough estimate of the development costs for all of those projects. Tens of thousands? Hundreds of thousands? Millions? Now take 2 zeros off that estimate. This represents the savings from a 1% increase in productivity, which seems pretty modest considering the power of earned value management, the contributions of quality improvement teams, the standardization of similar projects, and improving the speed of decision-making. Consider, too, enterprise management's economies of scale and better management for the 10 to 20% of projects that may not be similar to other projects. If a 1% savings now seems too low, and it should, what's reasonable? 5%? 10%? 15%? Whatever it is, it will show up at the end of the year on the bottom line for all to see, and it will remain there year after year. Thank you for watching. And if you have any additional thoughts inspired by this video, please leave a comment. You can also find expanded versions of the topics covered here and more in the free project management tip sheets at technicalpathways.com.